to another episode of our Patreon exclusive series, The Breakdown. I am Jada.
I'm David.
And we're going to dive into one of our past photo shoots.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a deep dive.
A deep dive.
Into the lighting, the set build, the posing.
The afterthoughts.
Yeah, all of that.
All that good stuff. And today, we picked the Zoe shoot.
Yeah. Zoe Colletti and her boyfriend Nick. And this set and photo shoot was sort of cool because it was one set, but it was 3 different photo shoots.
Yeah.
We did Zoe by herself, Nick, and the 2 of them together, which I can't really think of another time that we've ever done.
I can think of like 3 other times.
Really?
That we've done multiple shoots on a set.
No, not just multiple shoots, but it was like individuals, and then they come together.
Oh, yeah, I can think of one.
Really?
No, this is the only one. Yeah, so this set was a cool one because it was one that was in LA, and we normally do a lot of our shoots on the East Coast in Richmond, Virginia.
It was impromptu.
Yes.
It was very unplanned.
And it was very last minute. Is that what impromptu means?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think to give the viewers a little background, we had just moved out of our studio, and we were studioless.
For the first time in like a really
long time.
Felt weird.
And we decided that we were depressed.
Yeah, I think we were depressed.
I think that's what we decided. And we were like, what are we doing? This is sad. Mm-hmm. What's the next move? And so we needed to change the vibration that was going within our soul. And we decided to look online and find some plane tickets.
Yeah. Called my brother and his girlfriend who live in LA, and we're like, hey, we just booked some plane tickets. Could we come do some photo shoots in your garage? And they're the best.
They're the best. They support our dreams.
Yeah, and they were like, yeah.
Come on over.
Come. And we were like, good, because we already bought tickets.
Yeah.
and then my brother was like, my friend Zoe is in town this weekend.
Yeah.
Do you want to photograph her? She might be down. And we're like, yeah, let's do that. And her boyfriend Nick wanted to do it too. So
it just came together.
Yeah.
And in LA, we had done a shoot there and had some set pieces, but we wanted to make it look a little larger. Like their garage is pretty small. So we were trying to figure out the best way to create a big impact in the tiny space.
Yeah, because they have low ceilings and their garage also has like a bunch of stuff in it.
Yeah.
So we had to work within some limitations there.
Yeah, of course. So I think we used some of the walls. I think we used the ceiling from the set that we previously built there and made that the back wall. Mm-hmm. And then I needed to build some sort of forced perspective, angular structure on the side that I could paint my leading lines on.
Yes, this was creative because like if you are looking at this, you angled the ceiling of this set like downward.
Yeah, it was forced perspective.
Yeah, it was an exaggerated forced perspective. It was like this set is so small.
It was tiny.
It was one of our smallest sets, but you look at the pictures and I think that you think it's this like.
Well, it's not. I think it was about the front part of it was about 6 feet tall. Mm-hmm. To the back of it which was like 4 feet.
Yes.
And then it was about 8 feet wide. So I mean, kind of small.
That's what I found so interesting about that because so many of our sets are like it's the same height all the way through it. And this one,
this was I truly used forced perspective.
Yeah, it was cool.
Leading lines back into like center. It was super cool. I'm actually surprised I haven't done this more.
Yeah, it's clever. Like, especially when you're working with a small space.
Yeah, because it had a big impact for such a small space. Do you want to talk about the colors at all? These are they're pretty wild colors that we.
Yeah, I think I pulled some of the color inspiration, honestly, from Zoe herself. Like, looking at her Instagram, she is this very, like, high energy, like, exuberant, like, fun person, you know? And so I really wanted the colors that I chose to have that same sort of energy to them.
Yeah. True that.
Yeah. And I also, like, I think at this moment in time, I was a little bit in this, like, 90s vibe.
Yeah, they remind me of Nickelodeon, honestly.
Yes, I was definitely a Nickelodeon kid, and I was feeling that. And so Zoe, I told her that I wanted it to be, like, have a 90s vibe, be very kind of, like, loud and colorful. And she sent me some outfit options of stuff that she had, and she sent this purple outfit that she's wearing right here.
So you knew.
So I knew the outfit, and I didn't want to go monochromatic because I was in this, like, very colorful, playful frame of mind. Even though I guess at the same time I was a little depressed, but I was, like, into the bright colors. So I chose these shades of orange and, like, a neon-y yellow, almost green kind of like color. Because it reminded me of sunshine. And this set that you created with this forced perspective leading lines kind of, to me, almost felt like a sun ray.
Yeah.
So that's where the colors came from.
Yeah. But I'm looking at the picture right now. No, right there.
Up right here?
It's right here in the picture. And I'm looking at where I put the camera. And it's interesting. I put the camera up high. I wasn't, like, dead center, and I was riding the lines down.
Yeah, that is usually, I feel like
I usually kind of go low. Yeah. Interesting choice. I think it created, like, a really awesome effect. Like, I have no idea why I chose that at the time. And I guess this is just proof in the pudding that
never heard you use that expression.
That just playing around sometimes can create results. Like, you don't need to know what you're doing necessarily, you know? And by playing around, I think by shooting with the wide angle so high down into the set, it created, like, kind of like, I think it made it feel even larger.
I think it did. Yeah. I think it did. And I do feel like this whole shoot was, like, I mean, sometimes our shoots are very planned out. And, like, there is, like, a very clear thought and vision from start to finish.
But this one, not so much.
This was free flowing. And I think that, I think that it all came together, like, in a really cool way that ended up, I had no expectations. And sometimes that's the best type of photo shoot, you know, where you're just free to create.
Yeah, it was like an abstract painting. We were kind of just moving and grooving, trying to work through our emotions that we were having and all of the doubts and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you brought up talking about this shoot today, and I couldn't really remember where any of these thoughts came from. And now kind of talking through it with you, it was just all kind of like thoughts that came up as we were moving forward.
Yeah. And I think that's, like, okay, I feel like we're getting, like, really deep now. But like, sometimes it's like life's not always, like, clear and certain. And sometimes you do just have to take, like, steps forward, even if you're not totally sure where you're going.
Yeah, that is pretty deep, man.
These photos never would have existed if we hadn't just been, like, open to going with the flow. But also at the same time, like, we kind of had some sort of, like, sadness in our life. I don't know, I call it sadness because we knew we were going to give it up. We kind of outgrew that space, but we also knew at the same time we weren't going to be getting in another studio for a little bit. So it did have this a little bit of sad, but you're right. But we rebuilt and made sunshine.
We made sunshine. but by taking the minute and being upset and feeling those feelings, and then taking action to try to fix those sad feelings, and then using art to come through it. I mean, that was wonderful. And we created something pretty awesome, I would say.
We totally did. And so, like, this was a very different set.
Yeah.
How was the lighting set up?
I was just thinking in my head, man, people are going to ask, like, yo, tell me about the lighting. Literally nobody ever asked that. But in my head.
People do ask that. People love your lighting. I don't know what you're talking about.
So looking at the picture, completely freestyled lighting, and it was what I had in LA. It appears I used 3 lights. I used 3 lights, Jada. Okay. All right, so let's start with the lights. I think the main light I hung from the ceiling above the camera. Yeah, I did. And it was a softbox, square softbox. Not sure what size that one is, but it was right above the camera, and that just filled the set with light.
Yeah, it did.
Then it looks like I used a light to the right.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I chose that. I must have was trying to get rid of a shadow or something into an umbrella. And then I used my effects light from the back, which you could call the backlight, hair light, whatever, through the square, which used to be the ceiling of another set as the back wall of this set.
I think, though, that you would have used 4 lights.
If I had 4 lights.
If you had 4 lights. Because I think you used the light to the right to block out that shadow. And I see a little bit of shadow.
From that, but that light caused the shadow.
Yes, but yeah. So I think you would have used 4 lights.
Possibly.
If you had 4. But again, working with what we had.
This was a splatter painting of a set.
It was.
We splattered it, and just kind of breaking it down. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I was doing with the lighting.
You're just playing.
I was just playing. I was just creating,
playing, experimenting.
I had a mount on the ceiling, and I put the camera high, and I was like, the light belongs there.
Yeah,
and that's where the light ended
and it
up.
Worked.
It did work.
It worked. Yeah.
All right, now that I discussed my beautiful light job, let's see. Let's talk about kind of the posing. Do you remember what you were doing by chance?
Yes, sort of. Okay, so while I think that I like kind of mimicked the colors off this like bright, like sunshine vibe, to me, I think I interpreted the set as sort of this like, it was a surreal space and maybe some sort of transporter, like floating through space. I don't know. Like
a pipeline by chance? I always make pipelines. That's where
I don't really know. I feel like for me, this was, I explored moments of like isolation because she was very alone, and I made her be very sad at the beginning of the shoot because I liked that juxtaposition of it being such a bright space and this girl just being so sad. Like she's droopy. She's like, oh, I don't know. So that's kind of how the shoot started. It was just like ultimate sadness. I love doing bright colors with sad poses. That to me is probably my favorite.
That's your jam.
1,000%. And I was having so much fun with Zoe because she's an actress and she can do micro expressions. Like she can make herself sad without like, you know, like people do it too exaggerated. So often it's like the slightest turn of the mouth or like the expression in the eye is what makes a photo so good. And she was rocking it. So I was just having so much fun. So for her shoot, it started like sad girl. And then she kind of like later in the shoot kind of like came alive and was like unsure where she was. She was kind of like action hero a little bit, like standing body movements. Like, I don't know, like the ground was moving from under her. I'm not even sure what I was telling her. No, but like when I look at these pictures, I'm like, wow. Her body looks bendy. So it was, I would think I was honestly just having fun. Like you said, a splatter painting.
Was, again, back to this. It's in my memory so like minimal because there was so little planning with everything. All of our normal like storyline planning, everything, I don't think existed. I think we were just
free flowing.
Yeah.
I did really enjoy though the set because of how the heights changed. So I think I did start with her on the floor, seated. And then I had her like stand for different parts of the shoot and like come towards the camera with her hands in her hair like this. And the angle of the camera with the forced perspective, it really exaggerated everything, kind of like warped her body a little bit. I don't know. It was very interesting. I don't think I've ever taken portraits quite like those.
Yeah. No, you haven't. And they stand out to me.
Yeah, I really like them.
Yeah.
And so then I think what I did, I'm trying to remember. I think then I had Zoe's boyfriend, Nick, join her inside of the set.
It was 1-2-1.
Yeah. So with Zoe's boyfriend, Nick, I wanted to show like how the connection and comfort. Because I think we were going through like an uncertain time in our lives and kind of like leaning on each other for comfort and whatnot as we're going through this, like, I don't know what's coming next kind of thing. And so I think I literally showed that with the photos of the two of them where I have them like kind of nuzzled up, like comforting each other. And then I'm like, oh no, now look over here. Now look over here. Like these crazy things are coming at you. And they're like kind of protecting each other in certain ways and like following it. And yeah, so it's just sort of like, as a unit, you go through things together and you comfort each other and you're prepared for the unexpected because you just don't know.
Yeah. Just what you did with the two of them.
Yeah. So that's
dope, man. That's cool.
It was fun. And I think I also think I'd watched Jurassic Park like right before we did this shoot. So I think I was like, like scary things.
Scary. You're in a Jeep.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah. But I mean, they did so well. And Zoe is just so expressive. She was in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark movie, you know? So expressive face. I think it worked really well with those photos.
It did. And then you broke down just Nick by himself.
Yeah. And for Nick by himself, I did like just boredom, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so bored. I'm alone in this space. And then I think these colors like also really brought me like big time childhood vibes, which led me to think of temper tantrums. So then
dude, but I remember you were into temper tantrums during this period of your life and your photo shoots. You pulled on that string a lot.
I did. I think maybe I wanted to be having temper tantrums. It was like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
But I can get people to do that in my photos.
So you did?
So I did. So Nick is...
Because you have the power as the director. You can literally do anything.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It blows my mind, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I tell people to do the most ridiculous things, and they actually do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is so fun. It's like...
Power.
It's power, but it's also just like play. It's like just straight, like they're playing with me and like imagining with me and like playing this game I made up. It's so fun. I love it.
Yeah. That's what happens when your mother runs a preschool when you're a kid. You know how to start the games, man.
Yeah.
You know how to start the games.
But Zoe and Nick, they did really well playing with me. And I think we produced some like pretty cool photos.
I would agree. I feel like in our portfolio, they stand up.
Mm-hmm. They do.
And I'm proud of them and I'm proud to show them off. And they still live on our homepage, so.
Yeah, there's like one shot in particular of Zoe. If you could show that one now.
I'll do it right there.
There you go. That one to me is one of my favorite portraits that I think I've really ever taken. I love the energy and the color and the vibrance to it. And like that picture wouldn't have existed if we hadn't just been like, I don't know. We don't have things super figured out, but let's just do it anyway.
Yeah. So I guess the moral of the story is it's okay to not know what you're doing.
Just do it.
And just do it.
And just see what happens.
Sometimes it'll work out and sometimes it won't. But most of the time you'll get something out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Breakdown. I think for this one, we're going to throw it up on YouTube as a preview. So if you're watching this on YouTube, and you want to see more of us talking about our photo shoots, breaking stuff down, join our Patreon and you'll see I think we're going to try to do this twice a month, maybe once a week. I don't know.
Maybe once a week.
We'll see how chatty we are. No promises any which way.
We'll put the link to our Patreon in the description if you want to check it out.
Yeah. And if you're a patron, thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for the support. We really appreciate it. And if there's anything you want to see us talk about, just send us a note or leave a comment below. Till next time.
Bye.
Cool. We did something.
Good job.
Good job.